2024 coming to a close, and this is the time that we really get to reflect on the year, um, and prep for the future. And with what we're doing, trading, that's one of those things. Trading is one of those things, and a lot of things in life, in my opinion. Um, it's just gonna take one moment. It's gonna take one moment for it to just click, right? And it's not something that is gonna be necessarily result related. Like it may not click just because you got the result you wanted, right? For me, man, this trading year it was such a blessed trading year, and I'm so grateful for every single situation that has happened with my trading, um, and my growth, like my development. I felt it, and it's one of those things that you really have to take a step back. It's you guys have heard, when you're meditating, right? Close your eyes and imagine you're looking at yourself meditating, right? Close your eyes, imagine that you are looking at what you're doing, whether you're laying down, sitting in a chair. Just try to imagine that. And that's what we have to do in our trading, and really reflect. Because for me, um, aside from the strategy, which I love the strategy that we have, that I use on the VXT strategy. I know it's just all mindset. It's all mindset. It's all psychology. It's all the way I think. That's the only thing that is keeping me from where I'm going. Or let me say this: that's the only thing that was keeping me from where I'm going. It was everything up here. And the moment where you think and let's talk about the market for a second. The moment that you think what the market's going to do next is the moment that you are not operating in the mindset that you need to operate in to be sustainably successful. Just period. Because the market is completely random. Like, I don't know anything about the market. Really, like, we don't know anything about the market. We only interpret the information, because I may interpret market information one way, and somebody else may interpret that same information completely differently, on the complete opposite end, right? That's because that is how they interpret that information that the market is giving them. So we can't know anything about the market, right? Which, it takes the pressure off if you really think about it. Like, if you really think about it, and I've heard Mark Douglas refer to casinos, right, and slot machines, and how the expectation that people have when they put their money in the slots is the exact same mindset that we need to carry when we are trading. Because what is the mindset of somebody playing a slot machine? They know that it is a completely random outcome. Now, do they want to win? Absolutely. They don't want to lose. But do they expect to win? Not really. Do they expect to lose? Not really. Because if they expected to lose, why would they be playing? Right? But it's the acceptance of the random outcome. So it's like every penny that I put in that slot machine, the next one could be it, right? And where we have an advantage with trading is we have an edge. And how is this edge identified? Because we've seen over a period of time this edge present itself. And the edge is the pattern of the behavior within the market, right? Because, retail traders like, you and I, if you're trading, $1,000, $10,000, even $100,000, like you may not have the power to move the market, right? But as a collective, we now have a collective, we're collectively, we have behavior, right? We have behavior patterns as a collective. So when price gets to a certain point, right? When price gets to a certain point, based on collective human behavior, that's where we get patterns. That's where we get head and shoulder patterns. That's where we get bull flag and bear flag patterns. That's where those patterns come in from, because the collective human behavior has acted in a certain way when a certain pattern presents itself, right? Now, is it the same people when we get, let's say we get, head and shoulders pattern? Is it the same people causing the breakout? Is it the same people causing the rejection in that head and shoulders? No, it could be, but they also could be completely different people that are involved in that move. And so I've just, where my work has gone, it's been up here, because the more that you learn about trading, the more like technical wise and fundamental wise, the more you learn about those things, the more you try to manipulate each trading scenario. Like each position that I have been in over the last 3 months, I would say 85 to 90% of them, I've tried to manipulate my position. So let's say I've predefined risk, right? After I've entered my trade, after I predefine risk, let's say it right immediately the trade goes in my direction. Trade goes in my direction, and where I've improved with my understanding of why this is so important is taking money from the market as it is presented to us, as it is being given to us, right? Because the market is, when we enter a trade, right, and it goes in the direction of our trade, the market's giving us money. And so we have two options. We have the option to either take what the market's giving us. Now, does that mean we have to take our position out of the market completely? No, it does not. We can take partials. We can take half our lot out. We can take, a third of our. We can do something to partially remove ourselves from the market and collect on the money that the market is trying to give us. So that's the one. Number two is we can, and so if we have a take profit area, that's fine. There's an area in the market that we want to see price move towards. That's fine. But at what moment, when price is not moving, or at what moment do we decide to take what the market is giving us? Right? At what moment? Right? Now, do we wait for price to completely correct our position? And then at that moment, we're like, okay, I'm just going to break even because that's what the market's giving me right now. Right? Or where I'm improving in my approach, I'm taking partials. I'm taking partials because what can always happen when we take partials? To scale back in, right? And subconsciously, and when it comes to our psyche, like that is, we can put that result in the bank, right? Because as long as we have executed our plan, we were patient, we were disciplined, we predefined our risk, and we acted, and then we acted, right? That's a positive result that our mind needs when we are trying to rewire it, right? Because on the other side of that, if we did everything we were supposed to on the trade, predefined our risk, we were patient, we were consistent in our approach, meaning that we were following our edge to a T. We didn't premeditate, we didn't manipulate our edge at all. We followed it to a T. But what if the market barely missed where you thought it could travel to in terms of your take profit? Just barely missed it, right? And then turned around in the complete other direction. And now you are break even and moving towards drawdown, right? Now, our mindset, we should not be affected by any result. That is where my mind is going. That is where I'm going to be as a trader. I will not be affected by any result because I don't want to be affected by the result, right? I don't want to be affected by the result. Because if I'm affected by the result, that assumes that I knew what was going to happen, and I didn't. I did not know what was going to happen. Now, did I have a target based on collective behavior for where I wanted to see price travel? Yes, but as price rejects that area, I have to have the awareness to take what the market is giving me. We have to have that awareness to take what the market is giving me, right? And that is where my growth has come over the last 3 to 4 months, handful of months. Listening to a number of different traders, mainly, honestly, Mark Douglas, just because there's just a number of different videos he has available on YouTube that people have posted from his seminars and whatnot. And, he obviously wrote Trading in the Zone. He wrote another book that I'm going to grab this book, The Disciplined Trader, which I didn't know he wrote prior to Trading in the Zone. And he's all self-taught. I'm out here in AZ, so I know he was out here in Scottsdale, AZ for a long period of time. He may even be from here. I'd have to double check that, but I know he spent a lot of time out here. And just his philosophy around trading is the exact way that I want to approach, and it follows our VXT philosophy over here at Bloom, right? Like that understanding of everything being random, and just understanding that over a period of time, if we can just execute a certain way every single time, leave no room. And my favorite thing he says is there's no room for internal conflict. There's no, when you're thinking about putting on that trade, there's no internal conflict. Like there's not any part of you that is trying to go against how you should be approaching the market and based on your edge. Right? And so I just love that, because even to this day, when I enter trades, I can feel that internal conflict. I can feel that sense of, and sometimes it's fear. Fear of what? Fear of giving up my profits, fear of it hitting my stop loss and my trade being what? Because when we fear, because what is the result of our trade hitting our stop loss? It's a few things. Us being wrong, right? And not just wrong about that specific entry, but what happens to almost every single time. What happens when price hits our stop? Turns right back around to the direction of our trade, right? And we almost get hit twice with that feeling of, damn, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And It's not about what we're doing wrong. It's just the perspective that we're viewing that information from, right? It's not about what we're doing wrong. Because I can pull anybody in here, and even if they've never traded before, at some point, they will go into profit. Like their trade will move into profit. Now, does that mean they're right or wrong? Like, no. It just means they were able to time the market, right? They weren't acting out of any edge. They weren't acting out of anything like that. They just got in at the right time, and then they got out at the right time, right? And what I'm working on is every single time, every single trade, following my plan, every single trade, and not manipulating my plan to fit the scenario. Because that is how we get large losses. We try to manipulate the trade that we're in or the trade that we want to enter to the scenario instead of just focusing on our edge and trading. What's my edge? I'm disciplined, I'm consistent, and I don't hesitate. I execute. Boom. My edge is there, trade. My edge is not there, I sit and I wait until my edge is there. I don't try to find variables and I don't try to attach information to this specific instance in the market so that I can feel like my edge is valid. Right? Because then we have no data to go off of. And one area that I've struggled as a trader is the more I learn about the market, the more I learn about macros, right? And fundamentals, right? The more I learn about technicals, regardless if I'm using indicators or just price action, the more I learn, the more I try to manipulate the scenario that I'm in to fit what I want to happen in the market, like to fit my expectations to that. And what does that do? That encourages me to enter the trade, right? It encourages me to enter the trade. And what have I done at this point? First of all, I've moved away from my edge. Second of all, I have now basically restarted the data process in terms of the data that you accumulate from having a trade log, right? And you're able to go back to that trade log and see, okay, I did this, and this on these trades. And then you could go back to your trade log and fix it, right? But if in your trade log, you don't have like a consistent approach, then you're never able to get accurate data from that edge, right? You're never able to get, because each time you've approached it completely different, so that's where I'm at right now. Like I'm just so encouraged in my trading. It doesn't matter how many losses I take, how much money I lose. It does not matter. It does not change how I think about trading, right? And how I feel about trading, right? Because first of all, I know it's only a matter of time, and I feel like some things have really clicked for me over the last handful of months, and it inspired me to just be honest with myself. We have to get honest. Like, am I really approaching this the way that I know I should be? Right? And it's really easy to make excuses for yourself. Like, it's really easy to make excuses for yourself. But excuses aren't going to get us anywhere. They're not going to get us anywhere. Right? So as we gear up for 2025, man, financially, when it comes to trading, I did not end the year where I wanted to be. And that's fine. Why? Why didn't I? Because my risk management was poor. My approach was inconsistent. Right? And it's really just those two things. My risk management was poor and my approach was inconsistent. That is not a formula for success. But one advantage I do have is my awareness. Of that. So if I don't change my risk management approach and how consistent I am in my approach, then we're just going to keep repeating this cycle. And I will be damned if I do that. That's not going to happen. Right? So to this point, right, I haven't been able to make a withdrawal from trading. I haven't been able to make one. I've seen profits, but I have not been able to make a withdrawal from trading. Why? My risk management and my approach. Those two things, because the more I've learned, the more I've tried to manipulate each scenario. Sometimes it works out for me. Other times it blows my account. Then I have to start right back at square one. Right? So if you're watching this, don't stop your journey. Don't quit. Take a step back. It doesn't matter how much education you've gotten. It doesn't matter how many thousands you paid for courses. It doesn't matter what freaking trading guru is talking about. Follow this, follow that, do that, and you'll be proud. It doesn't matter about any of that, right? It matters about what's going on up here, because there's only a matter of time. If you don't have what's going on up here, if those screws are not tight, and if you haven't really thought about trading in the way that we need to start thinking about it, which is the market is completely random. We need an edge. And based on those two variables, we have no idea the distribution of the outcomes of our edge. We have no idea on any given trade if this next trade is going to be profitable. We have no idea. And if we try to hold on to the expectation that this next trade is going to be profitable so that we can put on the trade, then we are just going to go in the same cycle, because we're going to have the expectation that we can put on the trade. We put on the trade does not go in our direction, and then we will find reasons to stay in that trade. I've done it. Even reasons that are completely valid. Like I follow macros a good amount, right? And I'm pretty aware, fundamental wise, what's going on with news and how it impacts. And I will use that to stay in a trade. But then we have to think about, there's macro time frames and there's micro time frames, right? And just because on a macro time frame, we may be in a bullish trend, that does not change what the micro time frame is going to do. And what I've done in my past is completely disregard whatever information is telling me that my trade is invalid. I've just completely disregarded it. Because why? Because let me say I don't want to, because this was the old me. Why did I do that? Because before I was afraid of being wrong. Because if I accepted being wrong this time and I see that a similar opportunity present itself again, I'm going to remember back when I was wrong. And that is what I've removed. That is where I'm going right now. And I could not feel more content with where I'm at with trading right now. And like I said, there's a moment in time for all of us where it just clicks. It just clicks. There's something, and for most traders, what it takes is big losses. That's what happened. That's what it is for most traders. It takes big losses. Now, I've took large losses, and I'm talking $50 losses when I'm only trading a $60 account. I'm talking thousands of dollars in a loss when I have a funded account and I blow that. Right? I've taken large losses. And the large losses affect me. They do. Or let me say this, the large losses have affected me. What affects me more than large losses, or what affected me more than large losses, was when I marked up a trade based on, and then based on my edge, of course, and based on how, I find my levels in the market. And, I like to build a story if the market's going to go up or down. So I try to always remove myself from having a bias. So I build a story for them if the market's going to continue upwards. I build a story if the market's going to go downwards. And what has affected me more than any loss is when, one, I don't execute the trade that I wanted to execute because of fear, and then it goes in the direction that I literally marked. And the second one is when I don't manage my risk in a proper way, to where I get stopped out and then the trade continues in the direction that I interpreted that it could go originally. Right? Those two things hurt more than large amounts in my losses, and hurts more even than consecutive losses. Because the first one, fear, that's an emotion. That's just, where does fear come from? Fear normally comes from a lack of confidence, right? In this case, when we're talking about money, and in this arena, when we fear, it is because we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to miss out on anything. And we don't want to give what we already have earned. Right? So when, we don't enter a trade because we don't want to be wrong. We enter a trade because we see the market moving in a certain direction and we don't want to miss out on that move. Right? And then there are times where we executed accordingly, we followed our plan, we've moved into profit, but it's not enough. And it really, when I sit here and think about it, man, it all comes back to the attachment we have to being right or wrong in the market. And that is not a mindset to have in anything. I'm someone, as I've developed, I do my best with not even viewing things from a right and wrong perspective, and just simply interpreting information and going with that. Right? And so don't stop your trading journey, because I won't stop. I don't care how, I don't care what happens, because this is an arena that is predicated on controlling what you can control. Controlling what you can control, and then the probabilities and time will allow it to unfold in your favor. So, December 11th, 2024, EHM Trades, Bloom CEO Marcus here. And I could not be more content and inspired by what is to come for me in my trading journey. I'll catch you guys in the next video.